Welcome to Amazing Tales. Today we bring you a captivating story of power, secrets, and second chances. Meet Ethan Caldwell, a billionaire bound by control, and Emily Price, a woman who's always fought for her dreams. When one unexpected night changes their lives forever, they're forced to confront the past, break down their walls, and discover a love they never saw coming. If you love stories full of twists and emotions, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And hit the bell icon so you never miss out on the next thrilling tale from Amazing Tales. A glittering office tower overlooks the bustling city below, a beacon of success. Inside its polished walls is Ethan Caldwell, charming, powerful, and a man who could have anything he desired, except the one thing he wanted most: control. His life revolves around it, from his multi-million-dollar empire to the people around him. But control is an illusion, and his carefully constructed world begins to crumble when a secret from his past unravels his present. Across the city, Emily Price, a hard-working and ambitious executive assistant, navigates the ruthless corporate jungle. Her life has been one of quiet sacrifice. She's worked tirelessly to pay off her debts, build a future, and leave behind the modest life she grew up in. She never imagined working for Caldwell Industries would change her life in ways she couldn't have foreseen. The night their worlds collide is nothing more than a fleeting mistake. Just a few drinks after a company gala, a conversation that lingered too long, and a moment of vulnerability neither could undo. But when Emily discovers she's pregnant, that one night becomes a reckoning neither of them anticipated. Ethan Caldwell was born into wealth. His father, a titan of industry, and his mother, a quiet socialite, groomed him from a young age to take over the family business. Control was key to success. Yet behind his sharp suits and confident smile lay a secret. Ethan had learned in his late 20s that he was sterile. The revelation shattered him, not just because he couldn't father children, but because it forced him to confront the deep inadequacy he felt beneath his veneer of perfection. He had hidden the truth, even from his fiancée at the time, which led to the collapse of their relationship. Emily, on the other hand, had struggled for everything in her life. Raised by a single mother in a small town, she worked hard to put herself through school, earning a scholarship to a prestigious university. Moving to the city to work for Caldwell Industries had been her big break. Ethan was a demanding but fair boss, and over the years, she admired him from a distance. His poise, his intellect, his drive. She never thought he'd notice her beyond her work, but the night of the gala, they connected in a way that left her both confused and exhilarated. That night, she glimpsed the loneliness behind his polished exterior. After that fateful evening, they both retreated into their worlds, assuming it was a one-time lapse. Emily returned to her routine, but the morning sickness, the fatigue, and the missed period pointed to something impossible. She was pregnant. She could barely process it. She hadn't been with anyone else in over a year, and the only possible father was Ethan Caldwell. But that was absurd. He was her boss, untouchable. And then came the terror of telling him. When Emily finally gathers the courage to tell him, Ethan's reaction is not what she expects. At first, he's stunned. Then something darker flickers in his eyes. Disbelief. He listens to her explanation, hearing the raw fear in her voice. But when he speaks, his voice is cold. "I can't have children," he says. The words hang between them, heavier than she could have imagined. He explains reluctantly that he's been sterile for years, medically impossible for him to father a child. Emily is floored. How could this be? The revelation sets off a series of explosive confrontations. Emily insists she hasn't been with anyone else. She knows this baby is his, but Ethan doesn't believe her. The control he's held so tightly over his life is slipping, and the one thing he feared most, vulnerability, has crashed into him with the force of a hurricane. He accuses her of lying, of trying to manipulate him. But beneath his anger is a fear he cannot shake. What if she's telling the truth? What if this child really is his? As the weeks pass, the tension between them escalates. Ethan becomes obsessed with uncovering the truth, hiring private investigators, demanding medical tests. anything to prove or disprove Emily's claim. Meanwhile, Emily struggles with the reality of her situation. She never wanted to be a mother in this way, under these circumstances, and certainly not with a man who sees her as nothing more than a potential threat to his empire. But then something happens that neither of them anticipated. The first DNA test comes back inconclusive. The sample taken from Ethan seems to be corrupted somehow, and the doctors are baffled. Ethan orders another round of tests, but as the days go by, his skepticism gives way to something else: curiosity. He starts spending more time with Emily, drawn not just by the mystery of her pregnancy, but by something deeper. She's not the manipulative woman he first imagined. She's intelligent, driven, and capable of standing up to him in ways that no one else does. Slowly, his walls begin to crumble, and he finds himself feeling something he hasn't allowed himself to feel in years: hope. Emily, too, is conflicted. She resents Ethan for his initial accusations, for treating her like a liar. But she also sees the pain behind his anger, the isolation that comes with being a man who feels he must control everything. As they spend more time together, she sees glimpses of the man behind the power, someone who longs for connection but is terrified of losing control. Against her better judgment, she starts to fall for him, despite the chaos that surrounds them. But just as it seems they might find common ground, a new twist shatters their fragile peace. A second DNA test comes back confirming what Ethan had feared. The child is not his. Emily is devastated. How could this be? She knows she hasn't been with anyone else, but the science is undeniable. Ethan pulls away from her completely, convinced she has been lying all along. Their relationship, already strained, seems beyond repair. Emily is left alone, grappling with the impossible. She considers every possibility. Could there have been a mistake in the lab? Could something supernatural be at play? Desperate for answers, she begins to dig into her own family history, discovering a dark secret her mother had kept hidden for years. Emily's family has a rare genetic anomaly that makes standard paternity tests unreliable. The revelation comes too late to repair the damage with Ethan, but it gives Emily the strength to confront him one final time. In a dramatic final confrontation, Emily presents Ethan with the truth. The child is his, despite what the tests say. Her family's genetic history explains the anomaly, and she has the evidence to prove it. Ethan is stunned. He had spent weeks convincing himself that she had deceived him, but now, faced with the truth, he must confront his own fears. The real reason he had pushed Emily away wasn't just because he thought she was lying. It was because, deep down, he feared he wasn't worthy of the life they might have together. The idea of being a father had terrified him, not because he couldn't do it, but because he didn't know how to be vulnerable enough to love someone unconditionally. In the end, Ethan makes a choice. He decides to embrace the unknown and let go of the control he has held on to for so long. He apologizes to Emily, not just for doubting her, but for the way he had treated her like an obstacle rather than a person. They don't immediately fall into each other's arms. Their relationship is still fractured, and trust must be rebuilt. But as Emily prepares for the birth of their child, they both begin to see a future that they hadn't thought possible. The story concludes with a quiet moment, months later, as Ethan holds their newborn daughter in his arms for the first time. For the first time in his life, he doesn't feel the need to control anything. He just feels grateful for Emily, for their child, and for the second chance at the life he thought he could never have. Ethan and Emily's journey is far from over. There will be challenges ahead, learning to trust each other again, navigating the complexities of parenthood, and balancing the demands of Ethan's empire with the needs of their growing family. But they've both learned something invaluable along the way. Life is messy, unpredictable, and often painful, but it is also full of unexpected joys. Sometimes the things you fear most are the very things that set you free. The end.